Team, you join me here today in Kennington, in the London Borough of Lambeth, the London district of Kennington. Let's see what it has to offer. Well, it's a surprisingly sort of sunny, normal day here in Kennington. It's 23rd of November, you'd expect it to be very cold, but actually it's like literally so fine. Currently walking down a street that these streets were kind of built off the kind of old roads. Kennington was known to be a kind of southern entrance into London. A lot of the roads from the south, like Brighton and other kind of maybe coastal towns, one of the ways to get into central London was to go through Kennington. Yeah. Seems like we've got some sort of builders, merchants or something there. Now up ahead you may not be able to hear me too well because I've got a lot of roadworks going on. I was just saying, I mean, this is one of the main roads into London, but I'm sure these roadworks are causing some massive problems for traffic going in. Digger, come on! So, Kennington Park Road. Oh, here we have the front of the builders merchants. MP Moran and Sons. Yes. And one thing to note about Kennington too is how it's actually grown a lot in the 19th, 20th, 21st centuries. As you can see from the road here, Kennington Park Road, you've got these sort of new builds, these new modern builds where, you know, the architecture is obviously very sort of probably late 20th century, early 21st century, and then you have this more sort of Georgian, Victorian inspired architecture. Don't really know what any of that means, but something to do with the way that windows look, something like that. Just to the right of us, we've got the park, which you can't necessarily see, but we will go take a look at. So this could be interesting. Welcome to Kennington Park. Kennington Park was opened to the public in 1854 and was the first open space in Lambeth to be dedicated for public use and enjoyment. Prior to that, the site was known as Kennington Common and belonged to the Manor of Kennington, which was part of the Duchy of Cornwall. Oh yeah, Kennington Common is famous for being the place where over 25,000 supporters of the Chartist movement assembled on the 10th of April 1848 to press their demands for a national charter of rights for the working classes. Now, the thing that's interesting about that is that was a really failed attempt. And I think actually the Duke of Wellington, who by this point was an octogenarian, kind of squashed it. Quashed it. But that was a big moment in history. And you've got to remember also that this is around about 1848, around about the time the railways were invented. You've got many more people, including the working classes, being able to roam around London to come to these rallies, to come to the sort of national charter of people. And, well, didn't go to plan, did it? Well, one thing I have noticed about Kennington Park is there's a lot of joggers, a lot of dog walkers, so clearly a very popular area for, you know, people on a Sunday morning to go on a run, right? Here we've got some children's fitness equipment. sure if you can read that. The children's fitness equipment is funded by the Friends of Kennington Park with support of grassroots grants and Capital Community Foundation, and was opened by Kate Hoey MP in June 2011. Right. Lots of runners. Ooh, runner with a dog. Yes. Making best of both worlds. I think we've got what looks like a toilet over here. It's quite a cute little hut. We'll go see what's in here. Actually, probably can't. Actually, probably a bit dodgy doing that. So we won't do that. So the one thing that should be said about Kennington Park really is it's sort of split into different parts. You've got the sort of playing fields, you've got these table tennis tables, and then you've got the sort of children's playground. There's this actually really gorgeous hut here where you can go grab a coffee. Not sure how well you can see that, but there's a lot to do here, you know, like there's a lot of people walking around, you've got people with their dogs. You've got runners, and it's packed here, packed at the collective, as they call it. Also just felt like a bit of a weirdo walking around with a camera and a sort of selfie stick. One thing I have noticed though is that a lot of people sort of like cycle around here, which is kind of mental when you think about it. Like, why is that allowed? Here's a sort of better view. And then there we have the sort of marquee with the collective. It's quite pretty, really. Oh, here we go. Here it says more about the Chartist trailer in 1848. I'm not really sure how well you can read that. See, this rally was an important event in the history of our democracy. To mark its 175th anniversary, the Friends of Kennington Park have produced an audio description of what happened here. Duet. And here we've got Save Kenny. Kennington Park skateboard Kenny is under threat again. Again. By all accounts, according to my grandma who lives here, actually Converse did a collaboration with the local council, Lambeth Council, back in the day to restore the skate park. Yeah. And here we have Kennington Park Flower Garden, which I can't get into. This is gorgeous. Just quickly go through this gate here. Got more about the flower garden. Opened in 1931, the flower garden reflects the designs for an old English flower garden by Colonel J.J. Sexby, the Chief Officer of Parks for London County Council. His designs were key features in a number of other South London parks. Although the original planting plan has not survived, the garden's layout has remained much the same since its creation. That's sort of what they're going for. And you can see here that kind of archway. One other thing to note is that Kennington's actually also well known for famous people living here, like Florence Welch from Florence and the Machine, Paddy Ashdown, the old Liberal Democrats MP, lived here, and your mum. I mean, this is also the bad thing about coming through here in the sort of winter as well. You can see a lot of all the kind of lovely flowers that have been planted. not really at their best at the moment. But it's very clean. You can tell that the people locally take great pride in this park, trying to make sure that it's well looked after. Oh, I can see a hut over here. Let's go see what the hut's saying. Just before we get to the hut, you've got some Wimbledon tryouts going on. So it says Kennington Park History Hut. Let's see if we can learn. We can do some learning. Nuts. The big man lived here. So basically, one of the main reasons why Kennington should be on the map is because Big Bob Marley lived here in the 70s. St Agnes Place, not really sure where that is, but maybe we could go find it. Here we've got a fountain known as the Slade Fountain. This drinking fountain was installed in 1861 at the request and expense of local resident Felix Slade, founder of the Slade School of Art. Yeah, it looks pretty decent back in the day, didn't it? Now, that's what it looks like. Now, the other thing to note, and something that Kennington is well known for, and probably the only reason why a lot of people do know Kennington, as alluded to in the History Hut, is the Oval, which is a cricket ground, and we're going to go check that out now. Goodbye, Kennington Park. Don't think we're far away now. The distance way over there, you've got Elephant and Castle, you've got the Shard, going into central London, London Bridge, that kind of thing. Up ahead over here, we've got Oval Underground Station on the Northern Line. I imagine it's only really used to go to the cricket ground, or unless you live around here. Kennington is well known as a sort of residential middle class area of London, but its history has not always been so sort of illustrious, really. Now, you can see sort of some sort of council estates. There are obviously the old Victorian, Georgian, newer builds that were built off basically the gaps in these roads, like Methley Street where we were. Another famous street, kind of London well known, is Cleaver Square in London. If you say to taxi drivers, oh, I live in Kennington or I'm around that area, you just say Cleaver Square and they're like, roger that. So we've got Kia Oval here, Oval Station, as you can see. The tune's absolutely blaring. I imagine this is the walk that a lot of cricket fans make as they go see, I think it's the home of Surrey Cricket Club, which kind of is a bit odd when you think about it. I mean, Kennington is sort of South London, I'd say it's more sort of central South London, and the Surrey cricket players, fine, don't know anything about cricket, but probably have to, you know, even for home games, they have to travel quite far. Okay, so this is interesting. Come on. So here you've got the sort of front facade of the cricket ground. We'll see if we can get a better view. As I say, I don't really know much about cricket, but that's probably the house where all the people in white sort of politely shout at each other while they smack a ball around for a bit. See if we can get to like a better entrance or something. Come on. The funny thing is, I mean, if you time it wrong and you come out of Kennington Station or even Oval Station when the cricket's on, it's like a football game. Didn't actually realise that many people like cricket, to be honest, but there's a lot of them about. Hooning. Well, there you go. There's one of the entrances. Now we finally have a nice view of the actual ground, which you can't really see that well, but it's in there. Looks like there used to be here a pub called the Cricketers, which has quite a nice sign. Shame. This now all looks sort of boarded up. Can't really see anything, but nice classic pub sign. That's what we'd like to see. This is the interesting thing. I mean, you wouldn't realise really that you are in kind of central London. This feels very much like a sort of village, really. Could be. It's just very quiet. One of those sort of quiet, gentrified suburbs of London. Although not really a suburb, but there's a children's centre here, primary school. There's a lot of, I mean, there's clearly a lot of flats, you know, that you have the sort of residential areas, which, as I said, were kind of built off the main roads where there were gaps in the road. And then otherwise, you've just got these big buildings, probably Victorian style, maybe 1930s style, big kind of windows. Come on. We're walking now to what is known as sort of Kennington Cross, really. It's essentially a sort of, you could call it a circus in some ways, Kennington Circus. You've got here a very old building, not sure what that was, which is now presumably just flats as well. But back in the day, it might have been a hospital, might have been a palace of some kind. I'm in someone's pad. You know, the sort of King of Belgium's pad in London. There's lots on offer here, you know, you've got Papa John's, Cycle Fix. So if you want to get a pizza and get your bike fixed at the same time, hang on. So here's the cross part. As you can see, you've got a bakery, Sally White over there, some Korean food, Gandhi's, the Indian sort of takeaway, perfect nails. Back in the day, this was probably somewhere where people used to convene. Got a nice coffee shop there. But yeah, back in the day, this was probably where people used to convene, sell all their wares, chat to each other. And here you have the main road that sort of flows into central London. It's Kennington Road. Over there in the distance you've got the most amazing public house, known as the Dog House. Go look at the outside because it's a very pretty building. And it does offer some pretty decent pints or Coke. Wink face. So I've just come up to what used to be known as the White Hart pub, now known as the Tommyfield. Funnily enough, a very famous actor, Charlie Chaplin, used to hang around these quarters, and in one of his books he mentioned hearing the sort of ale glasses clinking in the Tommyfield pub. Got the police standing here, cordoned off a bin. Crime is rife in Kennington. The one thing I would say, however, about Kennington is I haven't really shown where, you know, you can go to the sort of... Oh, hang on a minute, what have we got here? Lambeth County Court. Okay, so that bin will probably end up in there after the police have dealt with it. We're working our way now to what is known as Cleaver Square up here. Quite a well-known kind of, well, square in London. A lot of people play petanque on the sort of this common bit. And back in the day it was used as a sort of recreational ground for kids playing in the area as well. Then during the sort of 20th century it became more famous for its kind of middle class tones, the undertones to it. You've got a beautiful pub over there called the Prince of Wales. And here we have the main square. So walking out of Cleaver Square now, eventually make our way onto Kennington Park Road, City and Guilds of London Art School. And we end up basically where we started. Here you've got the road again, got Kennington Station over in the distance, over there. Had some bloke laughing at me, probably because I'm walking around with a selfie stick and a camera. Don't blame him. Come on. So anyway, that was the London district of Kennington in the London borough of Lambeth. Not really too much to say apart from Charlie Chaplin and Bob Marley and the Oval and the Park. But it's a nice area. You can see why all the young professionals are paying over £1 grand a month to live here.